Good evening, Internet. How is everybody doing tonight? I see that we've got two people watching now. Oh, we've already got out of service saying hi. Well, saying rock and roll, which, rock and roll is great. So tonight we're going to do a stream based on mental resiliency, primarily explain what it is and ways that we can instill it in ourselves. And to join me tonight, I've got my buddy Crusader Nate.
What's
How's
going
your
on?
week, man? Oh,
Oh, you know me, man. Just living the dream.
oh yeah, because the nightmares are dreams too.
That's right, man. That's all how you look at it.
All right, well, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So we'll bring up a few articles here to kind of give an explanation of what it is. And we'll
Okay.
start with the American Psychological Association because figured they probably have an idea about what it's supposed to be, allegedly.
Yeah. Allegedly, of course.
Mhm.
It,
Resilience is the process and outcome of successfully adapting to difficult or challenging life experiences, especially through mental, emotional, behavioral flexibility. All right. That seems like a little bit of word salad to define it, but the more I looked into it, the more um, the more word salad some people use.
yeah. Some people are of the mindset of the more words they use, the smarter they appear. Um, and, small caveat here. I was a member of the American Psychological Association and up until this year.
Hmm.
So I've was closely affiliated, did a lot of work. That was kind of my previous job. I had to be a part of it to look into a lot of their private research libraries and stuff like that. So, with all that being said,
Hmm.
yeah, kind of guilt by association on that one.
The guilt by association.
Yeah. Well, I
Right.
mean, we all know resiliency by a multitude of names. Fortitude, tenacity.
Toughness
Um,
was one that I was coming up with, and
yeah,
while I was researching this.
yeah. It's, I mean, mental toughness. I mean, there's a lot of different adjectives that can be used to describe mental resiliency. You and I have had, long storied careers in some rather unique scenarios and situations where
Hmm.
it was called, guts, balls. I mean, there's a lot of different circles you run in. Name it something else, but in the end, it's all mental resiliency.
Yeah, in the Army, a lot of it, we called it our military bearing, because even when things are going wrong and bad, if you succumb to it, people's lives are on the line.
Yeah, yeah. As a
So,
contractor, we did the same thing, and even um, as a medic, a lot of the stuff we had to do is we had to remain stoic no matter what we were working with.
that's
Um,
not as easy as people think it is.
um, you, the one thing not many people are aware of is the dark and twisted stoic sense of humor within the medic community. Um, we've seen things, we've tried to forget things, but they just kind of make us a little more tenacious and a little darker on the inside, so to speak.
Hmm.
So,
Blackens the soul a little bit.
well, I wouldn't say it blackens the soul; it just calluses it a little bit more.
I think callous is probably a better description.
We got Jeff Sweeney in the chat. He's a former third bad guy,
Yeah.
one of our members of our community.
Hmm. Yeah. I believe it's hopefully it's still the case. I've known that people go to selection and they'll pass everything except for psych or
Hmm.
um, or they'll quit. like these are PT studs, or um, they know their craft in and out, militarily wise. But if they don't have the ability to have mental fortitude or toughness, they won't be selected.
Correct. Um, I even in as a medic, I've seen a lot of guys that going through medic training and stuff like that. That when you have to like stick your finger, like plug a vein or an artery and stop blood flow, or you have to do something like that quickly until you can actually get something to clamp it. Dude, you wouldn't believe how many people I've seen going to medic school and training that faint at the sight of blood.
I can believe it. Um, I know me, when we had to do combat lifesaver class, everybody had to do IVs on everybody. I'll
Yep.
admit, I was anxious and nervous as hell. But after about the 10th time doing it, you lose that anxiety, and you can
Hmm.
get sticks that stay stuck, or
Yep.
you don't hurt the quote unquote patient as much when you do it.
Yeah. The one part about doing stuff like that that builds mental resiliency is a lot of medics are they frown upon it, but a lot of times medics are the ones that have learned to stick themselves.
It just got dark in here.
Yeah,
Hi,
it did.
Bacon. Thanks for
What's up,
stopping
Bacon?
by, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
sticking an IV in somebody is one thing. How many people could theoretically and physically put an IV in themselves? That is a
doing it by
complete.
yourself is tricky, but it's doable.
It there's a little. I don't know how the best way to describe it, but there's a little. Um, it's a little awkward putting an IV in yourself.
Yeah. I mean, if the heroin addicts can shoot up one-handed, most people can probably set an IV one-handed.
Yeah, but it's the getting over. It's like the mental part of giving yourself stitches. Um,
That I can imagine I would not have a good time doing, especially without anesthesia.
yeah. Well, you live and learn. As long as you live, you learn. Um, but doing those things, that's a byproduct of building resistancy. The mental resiliency and resistance to that fear, that anxiety. Um, it's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's something that is a challenge to learn to develop. Um, it's definitely something that um, takes practice, takes time. It's like it's like building a muscle. You're not going to be a PT stud overnight. You got to work at it for months, if not years. Just like building
Mhm.
mental resiliency, it's going to take time to learn not to panic, not to freak out, and throw a fit.
Yeah, and you got to do it in baby steps. And I'll have to
Right.
thank Jeffrey, because he just before the show started, he gave me a video clip that I think we're going to play at the end. It's the inch by inch speech in
Hmm.
what is it? Any Given Sunday.
Great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Great motivational speeches in that movie as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was kind of like,
And
what? I think I was a teenager when it. No, I was in my 20s, early 20s when it came out. But yeah, it was inspiring.
yeah, and uh, building resiliency and fortitude can take many forms. It's not only done in sports. It's not only done in the military. It's not only done in EMS. It's something that is rewarded in those lines of work and in those activities. It's something that builds you as a person, and it becomes a dimension of your character, of who you are as a person as you grow. But once you start building and creating that within yourself, you never
Mm-hmm.
stop. You never truly, you never, you're building a masterpiece. You're creating a work of art within yourself. And it's just one of the many dimensions that makes you who you are.
Yeah, I think the Stoics have or the people who talk about the Stoics, not the original writers, but they consider it like you're a sculpture, you're a marble sculpture, and with every new experience that you encounter, you start chipping away at the rectangular block of marble to create what eventually will become your statue.
Was it Michelangelo who did the statue of David, if I remember correctly?
That's how I remember it. Yes.
Because he said that he didn't carve the statue out of the marble and stone. He knew it was always there. He just removed the stone to let it show.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah,
And that's
I like
that's kind of a
Tommy's
way of
comment
building
right here.
resiliency.
Yeah, I heard it was being a man and sucking it up or sucking up the suck. Well, we called it embracing the suck in the army. But yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely heard in the civilian world, it's like, hey, you just got to suck it up and go.
Hmm.
Well, that's one way to put it. It's probably not the best way to put it when you're trying to tell somebody going through a hard time or they're having a really, let's say they're having challenges. Just
Hmm.
tell them to suck it up is kind of not the best way to put it, but it does give the point.
Yeah. When I was a kid, my old man, one of the phrases my old man started telling me as about 4 or 5 years old is, I'm trying to handle and work with a challenging problem and, getting frustrated and all that. And he just look at me, kind of pat me on the shoulder and say, son, it's like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. Yeah. And I didn't put that together until I got older. And now that I'm, a little bit older than I was back then, not
Mhm.
much more mature though. Um, I find myself using that phrase with a lot of people, and it's like, look, it's like eating an elephant. And they just look at me puzzled. I'm like, one bite at a time. Break it down into small, measurable parts and work on it and build on it. Don't expect to accomplish it overnight.
Mhm. Agreed. Like, we're gonna move on to the next article. Otherwise, we
Yeah,
will waffle on about this, and the chat is
yeah,
very active. We'll get to you guys. So this is from the Mayo Clinic. Resilience: build skills to endure hardship. I'm just going to go over mainly cliff notes. Resilience means being able to adapt to life's misfortunes and setbacks. Test your resilience level and get tips to build your own resilience. And this is kind of where they are giving the tips. So instead of reading the whole thing, we will just cover this. If you guys want to see the articles, um, one thing you do is save the stream. You'll be able to see the titles, and they're easy to look up if you want to read into it more in depth. But I'm not going to, let's say, waste your time with scholastic fluff. So we got adapting to tough times, something we've already kind of talked about a little bit. Resiliency and mental health, tips to improve, get connected. I think this is okay. It's not a bad idea to have a group around you. Just be careful of who's in that group or who's inside
yes,
your inner circle, because there are vipers everywhere in the world. All you have to do is give them time to show their colors.
very true.
Make every day have a meaning.
Hmm.
I think that's a really great way to do it, especially if you set daily goals, because you just set a time or a task condition standard. Make it something easy, something accomplishable. When you feel like you're ready for a challenge, make it more challenging. Learn
Start
from the
small.
past. Yes, especially learn from the past, not just between your past, but other people's past, which is what we try to do is bringing a lot of our experiences and our failures so that hopefully you won't repeat them.
Very true. Well, the one simple way to start with a small task would be, and this is gonna be different for everybody. Just be a when you put your head on the pillow tonight, make sure and promise yourself that when you get up tomorrow morning, you're going to be a better man tomorrow than you were today. Start small. Work with the little things like that. I've told many young men, these are the things that you can do to start to improve who you are as a person and build your life to be better.
I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. That sounds like a great way to start the process because most of us just, I think a lot of us are on cruise control because we just want to maybe be a little bit numb to all the negativity, the bad vibes, as what's his name, Donald Sutherland's character in Hogan's Heroes or Kelly's Heroes.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
stay hopeful. Yeah, that
yep.
seems kind of obvious. If you aren't hopeful, you can go into a bout of depression, and that's not going to make anything better for anyone.
No, it
Uh,
won't.
Taking care of yourself. Um, this is where we will suggest. Oh, I forgot to introduce that. By the way, YouTube, in case you're listening, just take um, our content here as a grain of salt. We're not medical experts. Maybe you should consult a doctor first. There. Hopefully, YouTube's happy with that.
Yeah.
So take care of yourself. That's probably all three aspects: your mental, physical, and emotional. Take care of all three so that they're not becoming an obstacle to getting you better prepared or better prepared to handle things when they go really bad for you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the best way to look at it is can some people do their own plumbing or build their own building? Yeah, but you know what? Oftentimes it's far better to trust a trained, licensed professional.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're dealing with something within yourself that you know you can't handle, at that point in time, it's best to seek a trained, licensed professional.
Yeah. All right. Take action. Well, that's kind of what I'm doing now. I've been procrastinating on doing this for a long time because it's something I wanted to do, but there was always something that got in the way. There's always something there. And a video, I can't remember the guy's name right now, but he said something that kind of stuck with me. For things that you can constantly create obstacles to not complete is a task worth completing. Um, Whether it's for your own personal dopamine hit, whether it's something that you really want to do, or if it's a task that really needs to get done. Let's say like some sort of maintenance in the house. Get it done now so that you don't have, your ceiling falling in on you or something breaking apart in the house. So instead
True.
of having inaction with those things, especially if they're important, whether it's important to you personally or on how your ability to live your life or how it affects your ability to live your life. Um, yeah, I should have done this stream months ago. We're here now. Even I'm learning.
We're all learning. We all learn it all day, every day. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of part of what builds us as individuals.
Oop, wrong one. All right, go take a look at a few more of these chats. All right, and then you have to deal with the true emergency that makes your character. Oh shit, I stitched my friend up for myself. Yeah, there are those oh shit moments that will test you and you'll find out what your resolve is. Will you be overwhelmed and unable to do something? Whether it is act in a way that you need to act, or if you're, let's just say, a military example, PTSD, shell shock, because a lot, it's gone through many different names over the thousands of years of warfare we've learned to perfect.
Yep.
It comes from within yourself. Yes, but you got to build that on the inside in order to be able to show it or be able to
Yep.
bring it out. Got to embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Uh, I have never been divorced, so I can't say, but I am a product of a home that was divorced. That was not fun as a child.
Nope. Went through that myself.
Suck is about less than ideal, but do it anyways. Yes, the suck is something that's very inconvenient to you, but you go and get it done. Um, Emergencies, I think what he was talking about earlier, that's kind of what you'll figure out what you're made of at that point in time. All right. Well, like I said, I can't really comment on that. I know Nate can't either.
Yeah. Nope. Well, the one thing that's going to be a rather profound statement, and a lot of people are going to look at it. We don't know the terrible scenarios and situations each of us have gone through. We've all gone through our own trials, tribulations, and challenges. But the one thing I can say is, without experiencing defeat and without experiencing challenges in the lives that we live, if it weren't for those challenges and those defeats and those mistakes and those errors, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the victories we've had within our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we need to remember.
Yeah, because success doesn't teach you much. Failure
No,
does,
it
though.
doesn't. Never does.
All right, bringing up the next one. All right, resilience is psychological quality that allows some people to be knocked down by the adversities of life and come back at least as strong as before, rather than letting difficulties, traumatic events, or failure overcome them and drain their resolve. Highly resilient people find a way to change course, emotionally heal, and continue moving forward or toward their goals. So we're seeing a lot of, they're saying almost the same thing, but just different verbiage.
Right. Yeah, you can call it's had many names through the years and the generations and decades. Tenacity, mental resilience, courage, bravery. Um, there's so many different names for the same thing, and everybody calls it something different. It's kind of like, opinions. Everybody has an opinion, and we all know how that phrase is finished.
Oh, exactly.
Um, so
We all have a
whatever
certain
words
orifice that goes with it.
right, right. Like everybody's got a slot B, and everyone thinks everyone else stinks. So, but I mean, there's a way of looking at that, and this is something that we all have to learn to live with, and challenges we need to learn to accept ourselves in our own way.
True. I'm going to bring up the last one that's going to discuss what it is. And well, I'm a I'm a vet, so it only makes sense to bring up a military related site. All right. Resilience is the ability to function well in the face of adversity. Nice, cold, sweet. That's all it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Or
So
you can
now
even
that
distill that
we,
down even more. Tenacity.
ooh, that one didn't come up, but I like it.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, because being tenacious just means fighting through obstacles, not easy obstacles, challenging ones.
Yeah. And being an athlete in my youth, so one thing I remember being young, getting knocked around the football field, where the coach said that, yeah, the guy might be twice your size. Yeah, he may decleat you regularly, but he's like, the one thing you can do that will just get inside that other guy's head more than anything else. Well, what's that? He's like, you get knocked out of your shoes and blood shot out your nose, and you hurt. You do not want to get up. At that point in time, I want you to think of something funny, chuckle, smile, and start laughing as you get up and make eye contact with him. Because you're going to get in that dude's head because he hits you so hard that he probably hurts. And you're laughing it off. That's going to speak volumes of who you are as a person.
Oh yeah, you see it in a lot of combat sports, boxing,
Mm-hmm.
the various mixed martial arts sports. you see somebody get, a nice ringer, and what do? They just smile and start slapping their own head. You're like, really? That's all you got?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm going to set up the next set of articles, but I think before that, we will go through more of the chats. All right. Here is out of services. Some of the hardest things in life is being away from the ones you love. I found that to be a little easier than most people when I was deployed, but I didn't have a kiddo at the time or a wife at home, but plenty of family. And having to live life or death situations day to day, however long your deployments are. Yeah, it's not easy being in those high stress, high danger, hazardous environments where you've got to pay attention to what you're doing, how you're doing it, and just have an incredible amount of situational awareness.
Hmm.
Otherwise, because what is it, the margin per error there is extremely small, but the
Hmm.
consequences are can be
Life and
fatal.
death.
Yep. It's taken me 3 years to be able to go public alone. God damn. Well, I'm glad you're able to get there now and you're able to do it. Yeah, you're right. PTSD is no joke. It's taken more of our servicemen and women um, than actual combat fatalities.
Yeah.
Because one of the reasons we kind of do what we do is to stop that from happening or prevent as many of them as we can. Tommy agreeing with Brian from out of service. As though jokes, I've not been diagnosed, but me and crowds do not mix. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't like crowds anymore after 2 trips to Baghdad. So much more comfortable inside my home. But
Yeah.
even I know I've got to kick my own ass out of the door and get out and do things. Can't be a hermit forever. All right, not sure what you're saying exactly to Tommy, but thank you. Okay. Oh, a command sergeant major can learn new things from a green private while it's possible. Okay, I'll give you that. I have yet to ever see it happen.
Anyone can learn from anyone.
Yes.
Just gonna throw that out there.
Mm-hmm. Us some bitches that went through the shit made us stronger, and some it broke them. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the jobs that we did. For anybody who doesn't know our background, I'm prior military. Nate's a prior contractor and a medic. Uh, and most of the people in chat here are combat veterans. So if there's anybody new here or any of my civvy friends who just don't understand a couple of these things, just let us know. We'll try to explain it to you. Spot on. All right, you know that tribulation was coined from the term the original Star Trek Enterprise, trouble with the tribbles. Which term was that, Tommy? If you
Yeah.
can put that in. I'm not sure which one we said brought that up. And while we're waiting for that, I'll put a place marker, or I'll take that off. Put a place marker so I know where to start the comments off again. And we'll kind of get into how to instill it. All right. Causes, impacts. This did not scroll down to what I thought it was going to be. Okay, here it is. How to become more resilient. Reframe negative thoughts. I think that's one way to do it. I'm not sure if it has a resolution to those negative thoughts, but it's one way to kick the can down the road, but still be able to be functional. But I think you still have to resolve those negative thoughts. But at least for the time being, reframing them, I don't think it's a bad way to help cope with whatever one's experiencing for the moment, but it's not a long-term solution. All right. Seek support. Well, we kind of covered that earlier. What we're trying to do here is provide things that you might be able to add to your toolbox as you think you can apply it to your life or your situation. Um, but if whatever you're experiencing and our content is not cutting it, yeah, go seek out the professionals. Because if we could save you like $200 to $500 an hour in a session, and you would get exactly what we're talking about in that same session, we'll try to save you that money. But it's still highly emphasized to, if you can't fix it yourself with what you know and what we can give you, seek additional help, please. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on
By
you,
all,
Nate.
oh, that's all right. By all means. Um, you know, some of us can fix some things, but sometimes we can't fix everything. Sometimes we have to go ask an expert or phone a friend or look for another avenue to solve a problem.
Okay. To focus on what is within control. I think that kind of or that can be an add-on to what we just covered.
Yeah.
Whatever we can control is something that we should be focusing on. If we try to, because if you focus things that are out of your control, you're going to expend far more energy to figure out that you can't control this, and you're going to need someone else or something else uh, to help you get it within control, whether that's other people, like one of the suggestions was, is have a good support system that's internal to you, like a good circle. It could be people who have more expertise in the area uh, than whatever you're able to figure out on your own. All right. And then managing stress. You're always going to have stress, and some stress is good. Um, just like, what is it? Doing a challenge. That's a stress, but it's a positive one, so that when you complete it, especially if it's something you've been working hard towards, you get that, what is it? That satisfaction that you've done it. Uh, Coping with the hard or the negative stressors, that's one that you're going to have to manage and pay attention to more closely.
Well, another way to look at it is uh, time, tension, and pressure builds what? A strong person.
Steel
Steel.
comes to mind.
You know, it's another thing. Time and pressure. One of the
Diamonds.
hardest diamonds, exactly. One of the hardest things on earth that we are aware of. So the more time, tension, and pressure you are under, as long as you don't break, those will be the things that will break you. You will become
Mm-hmm.
as tough as a diamond. And it's not for the weak. It's not for the soft. Some can do it, some can't. Some of us are still working on becoming that rock solid. And
Mm-hmm.
it's something we can all do. And the one thing that I will say is, somebody who's done some pretty crazy stuff in my past, um, always be able to maintain that mindset and thinking that if there's a 1% chance of success, the odds are still in your favor. Well, 1% chance of success, you're telling me there's a chance. If you know the movie quote,
Oh, I wish we had that in our little brand. So you saying there's a chance?
got to keep it
Dumber and
light.
Dumber. Oh
Right.
yeah. All right. Need to take that one off. Move on to the next one. There we go. All right, this is from Mind, and my notes are saying to go down to after well-being. Look after your well-being. There we go. Be kind to yourself.
Well, we
I
are
think
our own toughest
this,
critic.
yes. Yeah, I've had so many ass chewings that I just kind of tell them their ass chewing is not as bad as my internal um, internal feedback at the moment. You can
Well,
yell, scream at me, call me names, tell me I'm a failure and all that. I'd be like, yep, that's exactly what my inner monologue is telling me right now, but he's a lot meaner about it.
or you know what your inner monologue could say? You could just kind of turn, give him a smirk, and say, "I've had better."
I'm gonna have to tell him that next time.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
you have to have that mindset. Find something humorous that can make it more bearable to deal with.
Oh yes. Yes, definitely. Try to find time to relax. I do read about this in the Stoics quite a bit, is there must always be time for you. You set
Mm-hmm.
aside whatever it is that you feel you need, 1 hour, 2 hours a day, with a do not disturb sign. That means nobody comes to you. I mean, emergencies, yeah, figure that there's an exception for that. But otherwise, go away. Leave me alone. Let me
Right.
have time to my thoughts or to decompress and relax to refresh my brain before going back into the grinder.
Yeah. One thing. I mean, it doesn't have to be at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be as long as you take a half hour to an hour just for yourself. Um, a simple thing that I've talked to some other guys about doing in their lives to kind of focus on give themselves a little bit of me time, whether it be a half hour workout every day, walk on your lunch break, get up, start waking up 5 or 10 minutes earlier and earlier every single day until you give yourself that 30 minutes to an hour in the morning. Do your thing, have your coffee, have your tea, stay off, don't let social media, don't let anything in the outside world disturb your me time.
I remember Rhino was talking about that. It's almost been what, 6 to 7 months ago about that,
Yeah.
where it was get up an hour ahead of time, go make your coffee, go find your zen before you start
Hmm.
getting ready for your day.
Yeah. Put on your suit of armor, put on your body armor to be able to face the day. Have your
Mm.
coffee, listen to your favorite song, read a book, read a passage of a book. Find something that works for you that brings you peace first thing in the morning. That's what I like to do. And it just centers my day, kind of allows me to be me for a little bit, and then I start the day and deal with the wonderful individuals we have in this world. And that's what allows me to keep that mindset. So those are some of the little things that I myself have done. I've kind of coached and talked to a few younger members of our community into doing a lot of the same things. And I've heard the comments and replies of, well, why should I do that? Well, I don't really care. Well, that's not going to do anything. Um,
Doesn't sound like
Try
they're
it.
understanding the assignment.
No, I'm like, all right, get up 5 minutes early. Leave your phone wherever you put it down at night. Don't look at your phone. Get up, coffee, tea, whatever you want to do, um, and just sit there and think about your coffee or tea.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy, think about why you enjoy it. Do you enjoy the flavor? What is it that you like about that? And just do that for 5 minutes. Start there.
And yeah, enjoy the peace while it lasts.
Exactly. Start there at 2 to 5 minutes. Do that. Then build that, let that grow, let that become of your daily routine. You can do that. You can go to a half hour, an hour workout. And then at the end of the workout, do nothing but just, have some water, sit, rest, let your body recover from the beating you just issued to your body.
Hmm.
Um, those are the little things, and you're gonna enjoy those peaceful moments when you can get them. The more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, something I'll have to start applying to. Develop your interests and hobbies. I would say this kind of goes into your find time to relax because partaking in your interests, whether it's books, your hobbies, whether it's video games, playing some D&D, or a few of the people in our community, they like to make miniatures for those games. I'm pretty sure it's kind of like a maybe at times stressful, but a zen kind of like focus that they can have, and they like it. So why not develop it further and further? Don't stay stagnant or as maybe a rookie or an amateur. Every once in a while, challenge yourself.
Yeah, brew beer, make mead, make wine, make cheese, learn learn how to grow a garden, start an herb garden in a window. Watch those plants grow. Learn to make homemade meals. Learn how to make jams and jellies and preserves and canning and pickling. Learning the little things about what you're putting into your body and be mindful of that. You'd be surprised the things that you've learned in spices and seasonings and combinations that will um, bring other aspects of life to the forefront for you to see. Um, learn learn to make your own homemade meals. Figure out what's the difference between putting a pizza in an oven and a wood fire oven, or what's the difference, gas oven or wood oven. Learn those things. Study those things. Um, learn how to do something that can become a hobby, can become more me time, more peace time for you to grow and to learn and to
Hmm.
develop and advance yourself as a person.
Yeah, and this one here, you mentioned it. Looking after your health, being physically active. Yeah, I know. I'm a fat body. It puts, let's say, more stress on me than, say, somebody in good shape or just in shape. And I think getting sleep, that is the big one. When I was working at a neurology clinic, um, a lot of the medical professionals there said the majority of their patients coming in, they wouldn't need to if they could get good sleep.
Yeah, that I'll,
When it
I'll
comes
openly admit
to, oh, you
that's
go
my
ahead.
weakness.
This is kind of
It,
this is your this is more your wheelhouse than mine.
well, all right, Sean, you and I have had many lengthy conversations over the months.
Hmm.
And how many you probably lost count how many times I'm like, dude, if I crash now, I can get 4 hours of sleep. Uh,
We've
I've
done
done
that
that.
too many times.
Yeah, I've stopped counting how many times we've done that. I mean, there've been days when we've been up all night and I'm literally like 2 hours away from having to go to work the next morning.
Yep.
So this is not this is my big weakness. This is a fault of my own, and I will openly admit that. And having worked in research in neurocognitive psychology, neurology, neurochem, neuropharm, I yeah, I worked around it. I've seen it. I know what it can do. But oftentimes, those that work in a field that look into these things are the most guilty people of doing it.
Yeah, just like doctors being, the worst patients ever.
Yeah,
All right. I think that's all I wanted to cover for that one. Go ahead and cover some of these chats real quick. I'll spec up guys, push forward, pass the suck. Yeah, that's one of the things that makes them special in the first place. They're able to persevere where others would have fallen out 20 miles ago.
yeah,
Three people need to smash that like button. I don't even know where our likes are. I didn't even put it in a tab. But it's not about the likes or the views. It's about putting out good information for people to absorb. But I won't say no to the likes at all. That mental manipulation, or that is mental manipulation, and it works. I think he's referring to, start small, get up 2 minutes early, 5 minutes early, 10 minutes, etc.
Yeah,
Uh, Crusader Nate, you stand back up and smile. Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, like
Well,
playing
there's
football,
you.
you got that right. Because I'll tell you, like I playing football as I got older, I got bigger and stronger. I hit people so hard I dislocated my shoulder.
Ooh.
And I hit
How
one
far did
dude.
you make him fly?
I planted him.
Oh.
I hit him so hard. I separated my shoulder, and he tried to get up, but he fell back down. Wound up breaking two of his
Oh,
ribs.
concussion. Oh.
Concussion, and I broke two of his ribs. But he got
Ooh.
up and he laughed at me.
Oh. Is that where you kind of got that from? Just stand up and laugh at them as they push you down?
A coach told me that a couple of years prior, and I never really realized it until somebody did it to me. And I'm like, okay,
Now
now
I
it
see it.
now I was always the small guy that got knocked down, but then when the tables turned, uh, that's when I really realized it. But yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of truth to that stuff.
Mm. We got Tommy being a shithead. Well, we know that that's kind of you as default. But
Well,
that's why we love you anyways. No homo.
yeah. Well, there's got to be somebody. Everybody knows there's always somebody in a community that will always go against the grain, will always stand up against the currents. Yeah, we all do it at different points in time, and having somebody that can show us it can still be done is a challenging, rewarding, but a difficult position to stand in.
Yeah, I think that explains Tommy pretty well. Yeah, I think you're right because he's trying to see if somebody call him out. We'll see in the chats if anybody did.
Yeah.
I'm on the pop side. I did 4 tours and some essay sites. Can't give details. Understandable. Former
Yeah.
ranger. Did a lot of running through the jungle. Yeah, I think jungle would be the worst environment to do warfare in because, the enemy wants to kill you. So does everything in that jungle.
Yeah.
All
I know a few
right.
guys that were down there, and I've heard a few stories, but just generalities. And yeah, it does not sound like a fun adventure.
No, and that I think him and Pop both went through ranger school when there still was a jungle phase. I think
Yeah.
they got rid of that during the global war on terror era.
They phased it out, I think, to shorten it up, to push more guys through faster.
Probably. Tribulation is not anything to do with the original Star Trek. Oh, I think he's talking about trials and tribulations. That's what it was. All right. Jeffrey, Nate, Sean, when you can turn off your emotions, yet what needs to be done is the ultimate. The sad side is sometimes you forget to turn them back on when you're out. Um, I've not had to do much in the way of compartmentalizing way too much. Because by the time I started deploying in, what was it, '05, majority of the action was over. And it was 99% waiting to do something and 1% something was going on. Mostly being IED bait. All right. Yeah, very true. That is a big danger. Yep. All right. Where did I see the chat's just jumping? All right. Tommy, we are our own best critic. Don't you mean worst? If we actually care about what we do. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we hold ourselves harsher or to a higher standard than what other people do. We beat each other up for it, or beat ourselves up, I mean, for it. The best way to deal with criticism is to embrace it and admit your failure, then ask if the critic can do better. Ooh. Yeah, I would love to do that, but I can see how that get people in trouble. But yeah, and if the criticism is constructive criticism, like constructive feedback, hey, you effed up here. This is how we're going to correct it so it doesn't happen again. That's good. If it's just an ass chewing with no reinforcement or no plan on how to not let it happen again, other than don't let it happen again, that's terrible. All right, I got Jeff and Crusader in the chat talking to each other. You're breathing because you can, and nothing has taken you out yet. Yup. All right, you made it more mourn your friends, but do not allow them to consume you. Yes. Survival guilt is what we need to address. I think that will be a good idea for another stream to do is on survivor's guilt. I know that had me going for a really, really long time. Still kind of does, but not as bad as it has in years past. Jeffrey, we are programmed from the military perspective to sleep for on duty too. Yeah. All right. Out of service. Tom Davis is full of it, and he smells like beef and cheese. I'm surprised you didn't say he smells like Bud Light. Sometimes pork. Yeah. Okay. Well, we wouldn't know. We don't smell you. Oh, and if you hear a little whimpering dog in the back, Roxy was let in. Hi, Roxy. You being a good girl? Can you lay down? Probably not. We'll see how it goes with her in here. Oh yeah, and now the commie cat wants to come and say hi too. All right, Tommy. I would really smell cabbage and beef. Kimchi's good. I like kimchi. Sometimes. Well, it's an acquired taste. Sean, the critic is yourself in that statement. Yes, I understood that. I don't know if I communicated it that well. Can't believe YouTube has that emoji. Well, YouTube has some really funny emojis. And, was it people who get to do memberships? They can make some more other ones that are a little bit, let's say, spicy. So right now, I'm going to go deal with Doggo and Kitty, get them distracted again. But I did make a pee break video that I think is in good taste, and you guys will enjoy. So we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they going to get to teach us?
You two characters are going to Top Gun.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
Absolutely still. This vision's based on movement.
Mom? Dad?
So I hope you guys all enjoyed that. And we're going to bring on another guest. We had planned on having him earlier, but he was delayed, but he has made it in. So let's welcome Agent of Doubt.
Hey,
How
everybody.
you doing, man? Oh, we're doing good. We've been at this for an hour. We've covered kind of what is mental resiliency, and now we're kind of discussing things on how to instill it.
Okay.
And
I was a little worried by the owl kitty thing because this morning a bunch of guys, probably 650,000 of them, were all watching Roaring Kitty on his live stream.
Roaring Kitty.
Yeah, it's the whole
Not heard of Roaring Kitty.
GameStop stock thing.
Oh, is that going on still?
Yeah, there was a big spike like yesterday, and then today, as he was streaming, this price went down like 40%. It was amazing. Number goes up, number goes down, and guys talk about it.
Yeah, I know that stock YouTube is pretty big.
And it's pretty Y chromosome, come to think of it.
Not wrong. Because there's a lot of risk in that. And those with the Y chromosome tend to take more risks than those with the double X's.
Yeah, and I would say that watching his position shrink while he was live streaming, he showed a lot of resiliency. I was like, oh my gosh, that would hurt so bad to see like tens of millions of dollars of my own portfolio going down while I'm streaming.
Oh, so that's how big his portfolio is. Oh boy.
He took out an option for 120,000 shares, and he was betting that it would be over $20, and it was up to like 40 something. And as he was streaming, it went down to like 28. So it was like getting closer and closer to him like losing his bet. And his options mature in 2 weeks, so we'll see.
I think Jeff's got the perfect response for that. Just follow Nancy.
Yes, Nancy Pelosi has the greatest stock picking of anybody. Didn't Open Secrets open up a fund that they call Nance just so that they're following her picks?
I don't know. Maybe that's something I'd look into. But yeah, so the reason I want you on this stream is you're more on the clinical side of this subject matter.
Gotcha.
So would you mind telling the audience real quick kind of your background on that?
Sure. I've got a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling, and I have 2 licenses to practice in the state of Colorado. I'm a licensed addiction counselor and a licensed professional counselor, like a generalist.
Mm-hmm. So I would assume that mental toughness is something that's part of the patient plan for some of your patients.
Absolutely. Some of them more than others because we got to start with a foundation of coping skills just to get them some resiliency training wheels on. But
Mhm.
that's usually the state that people reach out to me at, because if they're, at a certain stage, they don't think that they quite need a therapist yet. So if people end up across my table, then there's some real need for resiliency going on.
Yeah, we are kind of talking about that previously. Is like one of the points of doing streams like this is so that we can add tools to their toolbox, metaphorically. And if the problem is outside of their ability to fix, then to
Mhm.
seek people like you.
Yeah, in fact, all of us, I met you two on Rhino's
Mhm.
stream, and there's an artifact from that underneath my name is that I actually put the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
The
suicide
sewer
hotline,
hotline. Yeah,
because we can't
that's
talk
still up
about
there.
certain topics, right? But the
Oh, you
suicide
gotta,
hotline is still
yeah.
there.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody in the chat is at that level, but you know what? It doesn't ever hurt to have it, because if maybe they're not, because we kind of do this as our own therapy, but maybe somebody else needs it and they can provide it. So, chat, go ahead and look at that. It's just like it's like a national speed dial, isn't it?
Yeah,
All
and
right.
from that switchboard, they'll get you to the help that you need.
All right, cool. Well, let's get back into this. I'll bring this other article up. The 4 C's of mental toughness. The 4 C's of mental toughness are confidence, control, commitment, and challenge. Confidence refers to self-belief and trust in your abilities. Control is about managing your emotions and feeling like you have influence over your life. I believe that is the internal locus of control, if I'm correct on that. Commitment is your ability to stick to tasks and see them through to completion. Challenge involves viewing difficulties and challenges as opportunities rather than threats. Okay, maybe that could go back to one of the things that we covered in a previous article was reframing negative thoughts. Maybe we reframe them as opportunities instead of obstacles. You
Absolutely.
guys' thoughts?
Matter of perspective. I know I've said it a few times before, but some people see life as a glass half full. Some see life as a glass half empty. I challenge everyone out there to look at the point of be happy you have a glass.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I see it as this waitress needs to work harder to get a tip.
Just the tip.
Just a. Oh, all right. So, 5 steps to mental toughness, according to Calm. Self-awareness, understanding your strengths, weaknesses, and emotional triggers. Yeah, because Sun Tzu, one of the tenets of his Art of War is understand yourself, understand the enemy. You will win 1,000 out of 1,000 battles.
Mm-hmm.
But if you only have one of the two, you will only win 50% of the time.
True.
And we
And the
got
only way to
motivation. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say the only way to truly know yourself is to put yourself in challenging and uncomfortable positions in safe ways that you can actually
Mm,
learn and develop who you are as an individual, and like just like building muscle and strength training, it's time under tension. You see what you can and can't do, and you build from there, and you go from there. So you understand that, you be studious, you observe those around you, observe your own bad thoughts, your own the critic within your head telling you you're not good enough. You observe what that critic is saying and doing, and you pretty much show them that not only can you do it, but you're better at it than the critic, and you can do much greater things than that critic inside your head is telling you can't do.
I like that
I like that.
gym analogy. I've been using a different part of it. in that because we're all going through a rough economy, I get people inquiring if they can do therapy instead of weekly sessions. Let's do bi-weekly or monthly, right? Like stretch it thin. But it's
Mhm.
just like if you were to go to a gym once a month versus daily. You know, you're
Yeah.
only going to get so much out of going. And I get people just wanting to get everything they can out of each, session, and then cancel the next session, cancel the next session, cancel the next session, and come again because that's what they can afford, even with
Yeah.
insurance. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mental health or just medicine in general is a very expensive thing, even if you have some sort of coverage.
Mhm.
I mean, even for military guys and those who get like 100%, I mean, not everything is free, but it still comes at a cost, a very reduced cost, but um,
Yeah, I see guys through the
more
VA, and
manageable.
I see them telehealth, and
Mhm.
it still takes an hour out of their day. And I have slots in the evening that could be after their work, but if the only time that they can go is to dip out of work, then that's costing them at least the fact that they can't work during that hour. You know,
Yeah,
Right.
most therapists do have
that's money
regular
for
work
them.
hours. I'm one of the exceptions that I work second shift.
Yeah, because your PTO, while it is meant for, to take care of things during work hours, more
Mhm.
people would like to use it for personal time versus I've got to go to an appointment. And that's understandable, but that's why it's there to take care of things during the workday. But moving along here, we got motivation, having a clear sense of purpose and motivation to achieve your goals. In the Army, I was told if you're not motivated, fake it. That didn't help me very much, but got me through getting the job done. Kind of like the embracing the suck.
Yeah. Something a little bit uh from my past. My old man was a collegiate swimmer and went into college in 63, knew the writing on the wall at that time, uh went to OCS, went to Ranger School, kind of had a specific unique mindset of an individual. Um no matter how well I did, no matter how well I performed, no matter how much I exceeded the expectations, one thing my old man always told me is you just kind of look at me, give me a smirk, and still to today, I could still hear his voice even though he's been gone a number of years. You just look at me and kind of smirk and say, bet you can't do it again. Uh, Agent Out, you would be the one person that would, the limited, rare few people that would understand. I did the 600 level neurofarm course at MIT one summer.
Ooh, yeah.
I got a 100% on my final exam. My old man looked at me. I got a 100% on that course. He looked
Mhm.
at me, kind of smirked and chuckled, and goes, bet you can't do it again. You'd probably be the one person who understands the challenge and the difficulty of that course.
Oh yeah.
To get 100% in that course and then to have someone just look at you and like, bet you can't do it again. What level of motivation is that going to instill into you if they've done that to you the vast majority of your life that you've been aware of?
Sounds
And
like
even
it worked on you pretty well. I mean, as a
well,
motivation.
yeah, yeah. When I did my bachelor's degree, I got 29 out of 32 100%, which is exceedingly extremely rare in college. And when I went to college, it wasn't the crazy woke stuff it is now. So it definitely worked on me. And you know what? I want to put that challenge out there to you guys. You know what? If you're put in a situation and you do something that you're about 1% of the population that can do it, you're that one person that outperforms everybody. Look at yourself in the mirror. Just say, I bet you can't do it again. And do it again. Let that inner critic be that one that looks at you and says, I bet you can't do it again.
I think that's a good way to do it. Especially kind of goes into the fifth one down here, maintaining positive growth oriented mindset. This sees challenges as opportunities for growth, the attitude section. And then we got third one here, the ability to concentrate or focus, the ability to concentrate on tasks despite distractions or setbacks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for, we know a lot of people with ADHD and their difficulty in staying on task. Because just the slightest thing can make them go and be distracted from the primary objective. And now they're down a rabbit hole of something else and 20 tasks removed from the original task. So the ability, I guess, if you could put blinders on or find a way to zone out, I guess you could say, the distraction. The better you can do that, the more resiliency you're going to have. And the resiliency here, the capacity to quickly recover from difficulties and adapt to change.
Yeah. Very true. You have to be
I
able to
see
adapt.
that there's a big problem these days with social media and just cell phones in general, eroding people's ability to focus, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
20 years ago, it would have been us just warning people, don't study with your TV on. You know, you're setting yourself up for failure if you can't focus on one thing, one task at a time. If you have
Yeah.
to multitask in order to get things done, then there's a problem. You need to sit with yourself. It's getting so bad that people can't imagine driving to the grocery store and forgetting their phone, right? And they need to have the distraction on hand. Like they're not going to use it in the supermarket most likely, but like they need to have it at the ready at all times. You know, the option to be able to just be distracted by something else. And yeah, 20 years ago, I swear to you, people shopped at a grocery store without their cell phone just fine. Nobody had to
Oh, yeah.
call them in the store. They couldn't wait.
Oh, yeah. I think all
Right.
three of us remember a time like that where we would go
Yeah.
to the store with notepads for our shopping list or a scratch of paper that we just wrote our list down.
Some of us still do that, allegedly.
Allegedly. Ooh, allegedly, huh?
Used to be a military practice to pass out that smart book
Oh, yeah.
and make sure that everyone always carried it with them. There was a
Yep.
reason for that.
Yeah, the little ones, and then if you're a little hua about it, you get one of these. And I've started to learn that because I don't know if it's my military experiences, age, or, well, the Army's extracurricular activity is alcoholism. That probably is a contributing factor, but it helps to write things down, not just for your own memory recall to go back to and look at it, but what is it? You see it, you retain a certain amount, you see it and write it down, you retain it a little bit more. But the best way to retain anything is to teach it back to somebody.
Yeah. Run it through your body at least 3 different ways. Read it, say it, write it, and then pass it on to somebody else is a pretty surefire way of being able to learn material very well.
Yeah, because it
Depending on your learning styles.
yeah, because it imprints with more repetition. And I know I'm a kinesthetic learner, so I've got to do this myself because I can read a manual on how to do something, and neurons won't fire correctly about it sometimes. I've got to be
Yeah.
shown how to do this, or you've got to tell me, no, put your hand here, or no, do this. And then, enough practice to imprint.
Yep.
and this needs to be recognized as a unfed need, especially in the high school students that will be graduating in the next 4 years, because they had no ability to be kinesthetic while they were taking their classes online.
True.
Oh, that's right. The high school kids for the last several years are going to be really fucked.
Oh, we're already seeing that in social development.
Yeah.
But we've Agent Don, I think it's been 15 years where we actually started to notice the variations in social psychology where people were communicating more via text or online messaging as opposed to face-to-face communications, and people picking up on social cues of eye movement, facial gestures, body language. People aren't able to pick up on those social cues like they have been previously, and that's only gotten worse having everything switched to being online.
Yeah, I
I
remember that last couple of years um, when talking about the thing we're not allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, there are pediatrics who aren't being able to recognize visual cues or read faces or read body language because of the amount of um, diapers that people put on their faces.
Yeah.
And that's going to hurt them for a long, long time. Because you only get that, what, or you guys probably know better than I do, but you only get that first 5 or 6 years to kind of get it right, to set them up for success later on. You screw some of that up, you're going to be having more difficulties and obstacles with that child later on in life.
2 point.
I
Yeah.
yeah, and in my own practice, I make a point of picking up on certain cues with people that you just can't get through telehealth. And so if
No.
you're video chatting with someone, I cannot tell if Sean's leg is bouncing right now with anxiety. Right. And if I were in person with him, I'd be able to see that right away.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you'd be able to see the physical ticks.
Yeah.
And you could do your I assume you don't do a physical exam, but you do something that's probably similar.
Well, as far as the physical, the number one thing for me is that as an addiction counselor, I can't smell your breath.
Yeah.
And there are some people who will go to session after session in active alcoholism that they've relapsed and they still don't want to tell their therapist. Where I would have been able to pick up the first time I smelled it if it was in person. And so you can't get cues as far as smell, like does someone have bad BO and they need to be told. So we're going to have people with poor hygiene because nobody told them, hey, you kind of have a funk.
Yeah.
Yep. And we were kind of waffling a little bit, so we only got one article left.
Okay.
And
That's good
it's not really
waffling.
an article. It is good waffling, but let's say we get through this article, then we can kind of have more open discussion. And depending on what your guys' schedule, we can open up StreamYards to some people.
Okay.
All right. So it's not really an article. It's an abstract for the Journal of Sports Psychology in Action. It's a bit of an older study, but there were a couple of points in here that I believe are of merit for this kind of strain. This article reviews recent evidence concerning the development of mental toughness in young athletes from the first involvement to the sport to early adulthood. The role and importance of genetics, environmental factors, and psychology skills training in the development of mental toughness is discussed. In particular, environmental factors that can be manipulated and influenced by coaches and parents are emphasized to aid the transfer of knowledge from scientific research into applied practice. Of central importance is the development of independent problem solving and personal responsibility. Those two things, I think, right there will assist in somebody's ability to get mental resiliency. through a challenging yet supportive learning environment. We argue that to develop mental toughness, young athletes must be gradually exposed to, rather than shielded from, demanding situations in training and competition and learning how to cope. That's the main one that, or the main sentence right there that I wanted to highlight. Because I know as a parent today, excuse me, um, we have to shield our kids more than the older millennials and the Gen Zers were. Because I still remember a day when you were kicked out of the house, told don't come home until the street lights come on. We would have to make up our own fun, and part of that fun was taking risks and just being left to our own devices, but usually within a safe environment to do so. But we're allowed to get exposed to things and not be shielded from it. I know with my experience with my son, it's encouraged to shield kids from this, where I disagree, and I don't do that with mine. But it has led to, let's say, educators uh, making anonymous tips, thinking that we're doing a bad thing by letting kids have less shielding. So, your guys' thoughts?
I was one of those latchkey kids.
So was
And,
I.
Yeah, I definitely see a difference in the way people are being raised and their resiliency. The amount of quit that kids have in them these days is amazing. Like, it's the opposite of resiliency. And I might not blame a lot of things on video games that get talked about on YouTube as being the blame for something, but I definitely blame the ability to save and restart over and over again. And if you don't
Mm-hmm.
like the outcome, you can not have that be part of your game. You just go back to your previous save spot and
Save
never have
spamming.
any losses incurred by your character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guilty of it too. I've done it in my video games because, yeah, I'll work hard at it for a plan to go into it, and then it all falls apart. But there are some games where the whole idea of the game is losing is fun. You're supposed to be challenged this way. So
Mhm.
if you do beat it, you're kind of at an elite level.
Yeah. Um, Being a Gen Xer, the one thing that I've noticed in later millennials, um, as well as Gen Z, is they've grown up in such a sheltered, structured lifestyle that free thinking, free thought, free explorative thinking has been discouraged and or beaten out of them, so to speak. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell them to be creative and come up with something. That you give them a task to do, and then say when finish this, do it on your own, finish it how you see fit, and let me know when you're done. And they get to a point where they get stuck and they stop and they can't think outside the box. They can't look at a random number of parts and things and figure out what happens next. Or they'll get to a point where the directions tell them to stop and they don't have the I guess the socialization or the training to flip the page and go to the next step. There's a lot of that has been kind of beaten out of the younger generations. It's like, and I'm seeing that it's like you can't follow a process beyond just the black and white directions. You can't think, okay, there's something that has to come after this part. Have you guys noticed that as well?
I have. Part of what I ascribe it to is uh, the over reliance on a cell phone for one, right? But
Hmm.
the fact that a cell phone has no component parts that are really serviceable by a kid, right? When we had toys as kids, something broke on them, we could actually fix that little part and have it keep
Yeah.
going. If someone's cell phone breaks, go buy a new one, right?
Yeah.
And so there's not as many people who have automotive skills anymore because that they weren't given the chance to play around with things and open them up.
Yeah.
If your primary toy is your cell phone, you're not opening it up. You're not looking at the
No.
guts. You're not finding out how it works.
Oh
Your
no.
spatial reasoning is then uh, crippled compared to the
Yeah,
generation before.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're so intricate that you have to have a specialization in it to be able to do any repairs.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I've noticed in younger generations, Gen Z and I think it was a Gen Alpha that's coming after them, I wear an old school analog Recon Navigator watch or dive watch. Old analog, clock face. And I remember I was out and this one girl was looking at my watch and she's like, "What is that?" She's like, "Sorry to bother you, but what's that on your wrist?" I'm like, "That's my watch." And she's like, "You mean like an Apple Watch?" I'm like,
Mhm.
"Kind of an older version." And she's like, "Why is it round and why are all the numbers in a circle?" Like, she couldn't fathom an analog clock to tell time. And I did my absolute best to explain it to her. And she was so oblivious to being able to use an analog device to tell time. And she's only ever seen digital clocks. I asked her where she went to school, and she said they all had digital clocks in the classrooms. And there are things like that that are absolutely lost. I was recommended a YouTube video a couple days ago where it was a young girl. She was talking about how did people get anywhere without GPS and mapping programs on cell phones. And there was a Gen X guy who was talking about actual paper maps. And he's like, when you were 6 or 8 years old, we were given a paper map and a flashlight, and we were basically told to watch the mile markers, track where we're going, where we're starting from, where we end. And he's like, this is a paper map. This is how we did it. If you got lost, you stopped and asked for directions. And like this girl was just absolutely marveled by this. It's like, in not even half a generation, we've lost that level of knowledge. Where are we going to be in another 20 years?
I can't even find a map stand in a gas station anymore. That's
No.
prime real estate for a candy bar.
Yeah.
I know of
How it
one.
is.
I know one gas station's 180 miles away from my home. They actually have an entire state map on a wall and a back wall where if you don't know what's there, you would never find it. It's got every highway. It's got distances to specific mile markers, specific cities. It tells you how far away and time and distance. It's the old school, like a trucker's map. And I remember
Like the milepost.
uh, similar. It has the mile marker posts on there, but it also has a legend where they break down from this fueling station how far the next major cities are and what highways, has a breakdown of which highways and how many miles and how much time if you take different highways to those major cities. It breaks it all down like that.
Yeah, that reminds me of when I was saying milepost, I was talking about the magazine.
Okay.
The magazine series for your different. I think that every locale has their own one that they get published. I don't see much of them anymore, but it's got your maps, it's got your kind of where things are in your local area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
Or
fairly
maybe that's an
similar to that.
Alaskan thing.
But you guys remember the old, 80s, 90s movies with truck drivers know your distance. It's so many miles. Smoking the Bandit. It's 900 miles there. And it's 900 miles back. They knew how far one city is to another, how many miles, what speed you had to travel to do those trips in a certain amount of time. Prime example like that. You see some of those older fueling stations, truck stops. They have those maps where they actually show you. And I remember stopping and showing my nephew. And he's close to 20 years younger than me. And I was showing him, and he's like looking at the map, kind of puzzled. I'm like, this is where we are. This is where we came from. This is where we're going. And he's like, I can do all that on a cell phone. Why do they have this here? And I'm like, cell phones didn't always exist.
And you need an old-fashioned backup for when your luxury
Right.
toy inevitably fails.
Yeah. So, and I'm seeing that becoming more and more common the older I'm getting. So it's something that's concerning, but it's just the sign of the times. I mean, everything is getting smaller, everything's getting more compact, more convenient. They're removing a lot of the critical thinking applications, scenarios, and situations from daily life for most people. And
the worst
people are
example
lazy.
I've seen lately was a TikTok about a woman who bought lemons when she had a lemon tree. This has been going around viral this week. And her
Yeah.
friend asked her, like, why
What?
do you buy lemons when you have a lemon tree? And she said, well, don't you have to do something to the lemons?
Yeah. I saw that a couple months ago.
And
Wow.
yeah, people are so removed from the basic processes of life these days that they don't understand how to grow anything.
No. I think it was, probably a decade ago. There was a newspaper out of Cincinnati, Ohio, where people would call and ask questions and be posted in the newspaper. And it was hunting season in I can't remember the woman's name. I'll have to see if I can find the write-up about it. She said that all those hunters out in the state of Ohio should feel ashamed of themselves going out and killing innocent deer and animal in the woods when they can, with the modern conveniences of today, they can go to a local grocery store and buy meat where no animal has been harmed.
I see this on Tim Cast all the time. He talks about the story of his buddy. He's asking him,
Yeah.
where do you think the food comes from? The store. Where do you think the store gets it? The store. And you're
Yeah.
just doing the face palm going, are you kidding? Please tell me you're kidding.
Right. Yeah. People are so far removed from their supplying their own basic necessities. I mean, how many people could build, God, I don't know, a box to put on a desktop to hold a cell phone? How many people can build a table? How many people can make a phone stand to put their cell phone on? Yeah, exactly. How many people out there can have enough innovative thought to rig up something to prop up a cell phone for them to watch something on? So many people have to go online and buy something to do something that they can probably make up or fashion themselves out of what they have around them. But
I mean, I use a couple of bucks to hold my phone up.
Right.
And just lean it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's easy as that. You don't need to go out and buy it or buy some little overpriced contraption. No, that's a waste of money.
Exactly. There's
in defense of the generation raised with face coverings all around them, where they couldn't tell the emotions of the people around them. I've never seen Nate's face. I have no idea what's going on up there with him.
You don't want to know.
It's spinning. Let's just say that. It's always spinning.
Yeah. Yeah, my gray matter it's concerning even to me. I mean, I'm half tempted to say I belong in a padded room in an I Love Me coat. That's just the way my brain works, though. But it's concerning to me to see.
For a minute, I'm gonna go deal with a whiny doggo real quick.
All right, yeah. It just concerns me that something is simple. I mean, I see people all the time. There's services where people can buy IKEA furniture and pay for someone to put it together for them.
Mm-hmm.
My parents' generation, people used to buy ham radios and other things and buy components and build an HF radio from scratch as a 6, 8, 10, 12-year-old kid. And they were playing with electronics and vacuum tubes and crystals, and they were building HF radios, before they were even legally able to drive cars. There was a generation, my father was a great woodworker as a hobby. My grandfather was a wood carver. My great-grandfather was a wood carver and a carpenter. So watching those skills and seeing some of these people struggle to put together an IKEA desk or end table, and they're going to pay somebody $100 or more to come in to do less than an hour's worth of work of something that can take someone who grew up with tools working with our hands 10 minutes to do, and we don't even have to look at the directions, and they look at the directions and they're just completely frozen in puzzle that they can't figure it out, that they would rather just pay somebody than actually fix it and build it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very dangerous slippery slope, and where that leads our society.
I just had a friend quoted, in order to have a tow hitch installed on his vehicle, his 4Runner.
Yeah.
$900 in labor. And if you've never installed a tow hitch on such a vehicle, there are 4 bolts.
Yep.
And it is very easy to hold that thing up there, even as one person. But if you have, a spouse to help you, even better. But you don't need a lift. You don't need anything. It is 4 bolts.
The most challenging
$900 for that.
The most challenging part about putting a hitch on a 4Runner is there's a thicker steel wire tack welded to the head of the bolts. You have to feed them in through the unibody holes in the frame and drop them in the right position and hold them down and put enough pressure to be able to get the nuts started on it. And it's 4 bolts. But if you don't know how to fashion that wire on there to feed it through the hole, you're going to be there for a week. But if you know what you're doing, you can have it done in 15, 20 minutes.
I'm saying every kid needs to spend that week figuring it out.
I agree
Everybody
with you.
needs to have that sort of a frustrating moment. That's what the whole study says. You need to experience some frustration and failure to grow.
Well, yeah, before you were here, I know you had other things to handle this evening. I said to Sean and everybody else on the panel, I said, you can't win everything all the time. You can't appreciate victory without having experienced defeat. You experience defeat, and that teaches you to appreciate what victory is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if all you do is win, number one, you don't learn anything out of it. But if you just keep winning, you don't understand the value of it until it is taken away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fuck Tom Brady.
Oh, that poor guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he probably should have known better, and they were probably having problems way long before that whole thing blew up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Tommy, It's probably Jimmy. I think Jimmy's got your beer.
Probably.
But I'm just going to scroll down through these chats because I think we covered everything we wanted to cover tonight. And we're kind of waffling a little bit, but that's good. It's good waffling. So we'll just continue to do that, and we'll take a look at these chats, make sure
It makes it relatable.
Yeah, makes it relatable. There will be a backstage, and right now it's only for Gilded supporters in Pop and Rhinos communities. So you're going to find those in their respective Gilded servers. We will see how future streams go with just random people in the public, because we've seen what happens when trolls are allowed to come on and play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like having to deal with that BS.
Me either.
We're trying to be, a little bit more adult about that. You don't like what we're talking about, or you have a contrasting opinion, throw it in the comments. We'll address it there.
Yeah.
Don't whip your big black phallus out on camera to give us a own, because that's an own. It's technically a crime. Not technically, it is a crime.
Yeah.
So have fun with that when you get put on a specific registry, and see how well your life is afterwards.
Yeah. So they make lists of people who do things like that.
Mm-hmm. The VA sucks when it comes to mental health. Indeed, it does. Indeed, it does.
That's why I don't work for them. I take their referrals.
I don't go. That's why I don't go to them. They just called me like, "Oh, we're going to schedule an annual appointment." I'm like, "This is the first time in like 20 years I've been out, or 10 years I've been out. You guys are calling me for an annual? No, I'll go to you when I need something. You guys have been terrible enough already. I don't want to deal with you any more than I have to."
For anyone who does get their care from the VA, explore the words "care in the community," because you could get a referral from your PCM.
Yes.
You don't have to go to their shrinks. You could go to any of them in the community that work for TriWest, or that take that insurance to their family. And a lot of regular non-VA poisoned therapists are out there.
I love it when my doggo is being loud because she just sees people out the window. All right. Nate still did underwater basket weaving? I didn't know you did that.
No, that's Tom just giving me a hard time. Yeah, my electives went anatomy and physiology, genetics, neurochem, neuropharm, all just the simple courses, applied mathematics of physics.
Simple.
So, right.
Simple. Yeah, I think we have a different definition of simple, my friend.
Well, I got 100% in the course. That didn't bother me.
But yes, he's right. Rabbit holes lead to interesting results. They can.
They can.
Yeah.
Crazy about genetics. Yep. Oh, dear God. Of course you do. Or of course you claim to.
Right.
Oh, you must have typed that twice, or I hit it twice. Cell phones are legal crack. Yeah, I already brought
pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. Call it focus. Yes, it's good to be focused.
Focus Fox. Everybody focus.
Right.
Cell phones are evil. I don't think they're evil. I think they have a purpose. We've just become over reliant.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where I think you can say it starts to become evil, because evil people know how to exploit that to get things they want.
Yeah. Well, it's a challenge I'd like to put out there to people is, okay, if you're home, put your phone on the counter, put it on the table, walk away from it. Do things at home without it right on you. I put my phone down and put it on my desk. I'll go out in my yard. I'll cut the grass. I'll do a bunch of other things, go through my garden, put stuff in the greenhouse, check stuff in my greenhouse, and my phone's sitting on my desk. I know where it's at. I don't need to have it on me. People need to break that compulsion. They need to be able to pick and choose how, where, when, and why they interact with that device.
Yeah, I think Jeffrey's kind of right here. The older millennials and the Gen Xers who remember life before or cell phones became commonplace.
Yeah.
We kind of have a limitation on what we do with our phones. Are they very expensive miniature computers? Yes. So when we need something or we need to look something up, it's handy to have. But I don't think most older millennials or Gen Xers really use the full capabilities of phones. Normally, I mean.
On a regular basis. I mean, sometimes I do, but other times I don't. I mean, it's quicker and easier to just open my phone and look at the weather when I want to. But, yeah, I know I have nieces and nephews that are quite literally glued to their phones. If it's not in their hand, it's right in front of their face, propped up on something. And I remember I challenged a couple of friends of mine that are maybe a decade younger than me. We went out to dinner and they're always looking at their phones, constantly, like always looking at their phones. I said, all right, guys, let's play a game. They're like, what's the game? I put my phone face down on the table. I said, first one who picks up the phone pays the bill.
I like that. I'm going to have to use that.
And yeah, I put my phone down first and they put their phones on, and you could only imagine the amount of fidgeting and sitting on their hands and
anxiety.
Oh yeah. And like you can hear their phones beep and chirp and make all these noises, and they're like sitting there, they're sweating. Like they have to check that, but they don't want to check it because they don't want to pay the bill.
It's called motivation.
Exactly. It's exactly what it is. And they made it through dinner, and I'm like, all right, dinner's on me. And they're like, as soon as I said that, everybody grabbed their phone. I mean, and they're like frantically like looking through everything that they missed over the past 30 minutes. It's like, you guys need to learn to just disconnect from that thing. But they were talking, what was it, 12, 15 years ago, where there's a concerning study where they were talking about younger generations having the phantom vibrations in their pockets, in their legs and stuff like that, because they have their phones on. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can pull it up and find it for you, Sean. Agent Doc, do you remember reading about that, where they were looking at concerns of phantom vibrations and neurologists were looking into it because people were getting that pocket vibration notification in their leg from not checking their phone and going through that muscle memory action repeatedly? I remember looking into that one. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you understand how the neurons work in the body. But crazy times.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine ADHD mixed with PTSD probably is not a great thing to be living with.
Jeff's comment about getting in trouble for asking someone to look at him when talking to him, that's going to be even more common, where the next generation is maybe going to consider it not your right to have someone look at you when they're talking to you. And it's because it's very scary to them, to have to deal with people. People skills is a deficit for them. So they're going to try to push it to, you'll get in trouble for trying to force someone to look at you.
I know that's kind of what we have in Western cultures as a norm, but in Asia, I think it's during formal conversations, it is normal for the person talking or the person being talked to, they look down or they have to look away. They're not allowed to do eye contact because of their norms and customs.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I'm 6 foot, like 220, 225. I'm not the smallest guy. And I've been told repeatedly that, looking somebody dead in the eye and talking to them, they're like, it's intimidating. You're intimidating people when you talk to them like that. It's like, it's just how you address people. That's the way I was taught. You just look somebody dead in the eyes and you talk to them. I mean, that's becoming more and more rare as well.
Yeah.
People can't deal with it.
Oh,
Well,
damn.
guys, it has been fun, but I
It's
only
late.
have an hour to check in, and so
Okay.
I got to get to something else. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Yeah. No. We hope to have you on another time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll stop by next time.
All right. You have a good evening, sir.
Take care.
All right.
Yeah, we hit about that 2-hour mark. I think we've pretty
Yeah.
much covered everything rather quickly. And
There are so many chats to go through still. But I think what we'll do is we'll kind of cut it off now, and we'll have the backstage because there's already somebody there.
yeah,
For the 6 of you still watching, I'll throw the link in, and we'll do backstage back there so we can kind of maybe do an after action report on this, since this is my kind of first stream. Well, first one that's a little more serious than just fucking about. So I'll go ahead and post that and hope to see you gentlemen there. But before we take off, Jeffrey had a suggestion that he gave to me and Gil did for that speech from Al Pacino, and we'll go ahead and close it out with that. I guess I should do final thoughts before we do that. So Nate, do you have any final thoughts, sir?
try to think, but nothing happens. Guys, work on yourselves. Be a better man tomorrow than you were today. Something I'm still working on. So do what you can with what you got, and take care of yourself. But keep it simple. And remember, don't take life too seriously, because nobody gets out alive anyway.
Indeed. So I will go with mine. Mine is going to be a little bit of a homework assignment for you guys if you wish to accept it. It's to maybe find something that we didn't cover, something that you think needs more, let's say, expanded coverage on, or something that we just missed entirely. Go back, put it in the comments. I'll go read the comments, and if we get enough participation, I'll do a follow-up stream on this. So, and other than that, don't take away from the population. Don't add to the population, unless you're really trying to. But make sure it's done the proper way, ideally. Anyways, we'll go ahead and bring that video up. Oh no, I'm having a D2D moment. Please bear with me for a second. Where are you at? Add to stage. And then we'll just take ourselves off.
Savings in the Fred Meyer app. On top of low prices, shop the weekly ad and clip digital coupons.
I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today. Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. Now, I can't do it for you. I'm too old. I look around, I see these young faces, and I think, I made every wrong choice a middle-aged man can make. I pissed away all my money, believe it or not. I chased off anyone who's ever loved me. And lately, I can't even stand the face I see in the mirror. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. Hell yeah. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now, I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now, I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. Hell yeah. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. Hell yeah. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals. That's football, guys. That's all it is. Now, what are you gonna do?
I am here to tell you today that your feelings